Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing some emergency procedures. Things like, so most of these are going to be takeoff failures, primarily focused around losing the engine on takeoff at several critical speeds. One is going to be at rotate speed, which should be relatively easy. One is going to be 10 knots above rotating speed. Another is going to be 50 feet above the ground, 200 feet above the ground, 500, and 800. So there are different things we're going to want to do in each of those. We're going to need to brief 3 separate things every time we take off. I'm going to do an abbreviated startup, and we'll get up in the air. Passenger briefing, we are practicing engine failures at 55 feet, but we will brief all 3. We don't intend to go anywhere, and we will brief the full procedure closer to the runway. The seatbelt's good. Brakes are set. No real way to test it. Circuit breakers are in. Electrical equipment is all off. Checking the panel down here. Avionics master's off. Fuel selector switch. Do both. Fuel shutoff valve is on. Fuel shutoff on. Pushed full in. Check. Circuit breakers are good. Continuing to starting engine on battery throttle. Open 1/4 of an inch. Mixture is to idle cutoff. Prop is clear. Yield out the window, clear. Master switch on. Beacon on. Aux pumps are on. Mixture set full rich. Aux pump is off. Ignition switch to start. Release when engine starts and smoothly advance to rich. Mixture push full forward until stable fuel flow is indicated. Then set to idle cutoff. Okay, now we're going to go start, 3 to 5 seconds. Okay, and we're going to adjust the mixture. Oil pressure in the green. Navigation light on. Avionics master switch on. Generators coming on. Radios are also on. Flaps we forgot to set down, but that's fine. This, for whatever reason, does not stay set, so we have to tune the directional gyro to roughly 080. It's a 79. Set. 8 is 125.0, 5.0. Anyways, 3016 is our altimeter. We can set that based off of just our known altitude. Go back to plates. We need ground 121.7. Next is going to be 119.9. Bring to ground November 244 Sierra Papa. Ready for taxi. Northern General Aviation. And we're going to be told taxi by Alpha. That's standby for now. Alright. And we're going to get our next checklist correct. Well, our next checklist we're going to pull out. Now, we should have taxied up to the dotted line, or sorry, that dashed line, and been ready before calling them last time. It just minimizes time that ground has to deal with us and that we have to be under their control. It's good practice. Now, this and other runways are different. This one is gigantic. We can probably land here a lot. Like, there's not really going to be a problem or a question as to if we can land on this thing even from a couple hundred feet. Here's Alpha 2. Here comes Alpha. Alright. We are in the run-up area. We have the procedure. Second avionics. Okay. First step, parking brakes set. We are in the run-up area. Passenger seat backs are right. Seats and seatbelts are secured. Cabin doors closed and locked. Flight controls. Gotta look down for this one. Left is up. Right is down. Left is down. Right is up. Looking between the seats. Back is up. Front is down. Right is right. Left is left. Good. Flight instruments are all moving. We did make sure that on our taxi over. Fuel quantity, did not check that before, so we have 13 pounds in each tank. That's perfect. Mixture is rich. We'll leave that. Fuel selector is set to both. Throttle to 1800 RPM. And we are going to run this rich because if we actually lean it out, we are going to end up with some pretty high exhaust temperatures. And we're going to need that extra temperature for takeoff. Magnetos. RPM drop should not exceed 150 RPM on either magneto or a 50 RPM differential on both magnetos. so we're at 1800. Looking for less than 150, that's 100 drop. Back to both. Returns. Left over to right. 100 RPM drop. We are good on both. Vacuum gauge over here in the green. Good. Engine instruments and amp meter. So EGT is great. Nice and cold. Fuel flow is good. Amps are zeroed. Oil pressure is good. Temperature is good. And RPM are good. Annunciator panel. Nothing is there. Test, make sure everything lights up. Right fuel looks like it's out. That's fine. Throttle, check the idle. Sure it idles. We're good. At 1,000 RPM or less, put it at 1,000. Throttle is at 1,000. Friction lock is set how we like. Strobe light, as desired. I desire a strobe. Radius and avionics, calling tower. Nav GPS, we are going nav mode right now. Autopilot is verified off and off. Manual and electric trim. We're gonna go manual trim, electric trim, good on both accounts. Elevator trim, set for takeoff. Wing flaps, 0 or 10, we're gonna set 10. Brakes are currently released. Normal takeoff, we're going to brief it. Throttle, full open, mixture is going to be rich. I'm gonna pull this back and we're going to keep it at 1,000 and we're going to adjust up or down until it stops going up and close. There it is. We're going to go half a turn rich. The throttle's going to be full open, rich above 3,000, lean to obtain maximum RPM. That's what we have. Elevator control at 55. We're going to lift the nose wheel. Best climb is 70 to 80. And once we hit 70 to 80, we're going to retract. Emergency procedures just to cover it. Engine failure during takeoff roll, during the roll. Idle. Full brakes, flaps retract, mixture off, ignition off, master off. No electrical power, no engine. Kill everything. Failure directly after takeoff. Maintain 65 knots, maintain 70 knots with flaps up, 65 with flaps down. Mixture to cut off, fuel shut off. We're gonna pull that. Ignition switch to off, wing flaps as required. Master switch off and cabin door we're going to unlatch. Landing, we're just going to land straight ahead if we need that. During flight, in other words, if we actually are high enough that, so 5 to 800. Airspeed pitch for 68 knots, fuel shut off. Push in, fuel selector to both, aux pump on, mixture full rich, ignition to both. Essentially, we're trying to restart the engine. If the propeller's windmilling, the engine will restart automatically without the ignition. No, with it. That does not happen. We need to go to full start. Advance the throttle slowly from idle to lean the mixture from full rich as required for smooth operation. Flow indicator immediately drops to 0, indicating an engine-driven fuel pump failure. Return to the aux pump. So essentially, if we turn on the auxiliary pump and it kills our fuel flow, we need to turn that off. Don't care about anything else. Normal takeoff, we're going to set wing flaps good. Fuel is going to be full open, mixture is going to be full rich, lift at 55 knots, climb to 70 to 80, and retract between 70 and 80 knots. If we have an engine failure, which we know we are going to, if it's on the roll, we're just going to stop, full brakes. If we are below 50 feet, we're landing on the runway if possible. Actually, just anything after rotation. We're going to land straight ahead. No deviation left, right, nothing. Straight ahead, wherever we're pointed, that's where we're landing. If we are actually in flight, as in we have sufficient altitude to make some decisions, we're going to do a couple of things. Choose our landing site, aim for it, then start debugging the engine and figure out what's wrong with it. Here we go. Tower November 244 Sierra Papa, ready for takeoff, runway 17 right. So we are going to get cleared for takeoff, 17 right. We're going to read back, November 244 Sierra Papa, cleared for takeoff, 17 right. Alright, flaps are set, mixture is set for max RPM, looking left, looking right, nobody on our runway. Entering the runway, takeoff lights are set, following this gigantic line over the hump. Now 55 is our rotation speed, here goes. And throttle full. $40 knots. Engine failure. Mixture pull. Tower November 244 Echo Bravo. Nope, 244 Sierra Papa. Engine failure on takeoff roll. We're going to Engine failure on takeoff roll, shutting down. Across the board, completely shut down everything. Full brakes. And open doors when possible, just stop it here. That failed at like 45. So that was weird. We're going to reset and we're going to do another failure. The one thing it did not cover is our transponder. We need to figure out where that fits in the list. Anyways, we are set up. We are ready. Springs Tower number Cessna 172 Sierra Papa or November 244 Sierra Papa. Ready for takeoff. 24 right. Clear for takeoff. Again, on failure, on the roll, we're going to stop. On rotate, we are going to push the nose down and stop. In flight, we are going to pitch for 70, 65 if flaps are down, 70 if flaps are up. Shut down everything if we are too high, or if we are too low. If we have time, we'll debug. Throttle's coming up. Flaps verified, 1 notch. Throttle is set to full. Mixture is good. We're going to 55 knots. Airspeed is alive. 55, rotate, and we're going to level off. We are above ground. Flaps coming up, trimming, climbing at 70 to 80. Oh, they're updated. I'm suspicious now because the takeoff roll was not the airspeed I was expecting. We're going to see when it happens. 70 to 80 knots is our ideal climb speed. We'll pitch for 75 and run it. That is 800, making a right-hand turn, on the right coordinated turn, and leveling out. Alright, Springs Tower, November 2. Alright, flaps are up, we're pitching for 70. 244 Sierra Papa, engine failure, returning to runway 34 left. We're going to get a positive or a negative. I believe we can make the runway. We are coming in for landing. We're actually fast and high. We can afford to start giving some of this up. We actually need to. So here's flaps 1. 85 is our maximum flap extension speed. Pitching for 65, which is most efficient. You really don't want to be stalling down, if possible. We have this gigantic runway, so we have plenty of space. And we really don't have any... Yeah. We don't really want to fly the efficient glide path. We are dead sticking it in. Flaring at the last second. We failed. Turning everything off. Everything is off, stopping as soon as possible. And everybody out. So that failed at an unexpected time, which is realistic. I'm going to try and modify the speed number again so that it'll fail right after takeoff, and we'll practice that one. So this one, we were high enough, we were pointed the right direction, etc., and we were able to return to the runway. This is not necessarily something you can always do. They might give a landing aircraft to go around, but if there's somebody on the runway, you might be able to say that you're 100% you can clear them, and you can deconflict, but they're not going to be happy. It's going to cause some other problems for them. So, resetting, changing speeds, and we'll see in a second. Alright, I have changed the failure. We shall guess and see which one we have. Wind was calm, so it doesn't really matter where we start at. Here goes. Again, briefing. On takeoff roll, full brakes, shut down everything, get out. At rotate, pretty much the same. Stop if possible. There really isn't another option, just land where you are. On climb out, land back if we can. Find a place to crash if we can't. Fly it to the scene of the crash. And finally, if we are in flight, pick a location, debug. So, here goes. Full power, verifying flaps 1, and hand on the throttle in case of a rejected takeoff. And 55, rotate, maintaining runway heading. Engine failure, pitching down for 55 knots. Stalled that one in. Okay, that's violent. That's the hardest one we've done yet. Full brakes, switches off, battery and electronics off, get out. And seatbelts out. Let's reset and do that one again. That was hard. The airspeed just dropped. Gone. We're going to do that one again because that's hard. That's going to be the most critical, crucial, and dangerous one we could possibly get. Best climb speed is 65 knots. There's 55. Rotate. Going up to 60 knots. Oh, engine failure. Flare. Yeah, that's the hardest one ever. Applying full brakes. Shutting down. Getting out. That one's hard. These procedures are actually hard. I don't know if you guys saw, but we went from 60 to basically complete stall speed in the amount of time it took to push over. That's hard. Alright, we're going to do another almost as dangerous scenario, and we're going to stall it out at 200 feet. The reason why 200 is nearly as dangerous is because we cannot return to this airfield necessarily. If we can, we could potentially have a problem returning to this airfield. So we might have to set down just past the airport, and normally around airports are either trees, buildings, or roads. So there's not a good place to be landing. This one I think we can come back for landing, but we're going to pitch for 65 knots. Normal takeoff is going to be 70 to 80 knots climb speed. And 55 rotate, going for 70 to 80 knots. 5 flaps coming up. Trimming. Engine failure. Push over, find a landing spot. 70 knots is our optimal speed with no flaps. Not reconfiguring in this amount of time. Flying 70 knots all the way down to the ground. Flaring at the last moment. Leading off that speed, just holding it off. It was nice and easy. So this is on a gigantic airport. Throttle out. Killing electronics. Magnetos off. Everybody hop out. Let's reset at a shorter airport and do basically the same thing. It's not going to be as wide, it's not going to be as long. We'll get a feel for what an actual emergency without space is going to be like. Alright, things have been reset. Covering all of our basics. On the roll, stop, rotate, stop. After takeoff, land immediately. Land where available. If we have altitude, we'll do some checking. Some checklists. So, here goes. Verifying flaps 1, releasing the brakes. Rotate at 55, climb out. At 60 to 65, we're going to retract flaps. To 60 will be flap retraction. 50, 55, rotate. 60, flaps coming up. Maintaining, engine failure. Jeez. Nope, held it off too hard. Can't see the runway. Full brakes, so we don't know how much is left. So that was 50 feet. That one's always so hard. Just, you don't have time. Doesn't matter where you are, just no time. And 55, rotate. 60, flaps up. 55. 70, we're on the low end of our climb speed. We'll probably aim for 75, and we started at 6,500. Oh, engine failure, pitching for 70. Just landing straight ahead. Doesn't matter what's there. If there are something like a solar farm, matters what's there. Right now, nothing here. No buildings, no nothing. In reality, I think it's just fields. There's a highway. Don't really want to land on that highway. And just landing. Don't really need brakes. We're doing a relatively soft field landing, so just letting it roll out. Minimal braking if required, and full back on the stick as long as possible. Shut down, get out. And fuel selector to cut off. Hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing all these random failures. It's a little more difficult in real life, but these are going to be procedures I'm going to need to drum into my head over and over and over. Every takeoff, every landing, cover your emergency procedures. What happens if I lose an engine at any stage? What are you going to do? Because by the time it happens, you already don't have time to deal with it. know what you're going to do beforehand, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in the next video.